Camilla is not able to make it this week due to a personal engagement. So I'm introducing here today. Thank you for joining. If this is your first time joining, welcome. We host these every Thursday during the school year. This is kind of a space for our school leaders to come and find a sense of community, collaborate, and get some leadership experience here. They're always free, so you're always welcome to invite a fellow Montessorian. And they are also always recorded. So if you want to watch it again and take some notes, and then we also post them on our Nido Marketing YouTube channel. So anyway, I will go ahead and introduce myself. I am Elizabeth. I am the executive director here at Nido Marketing. Today we are joined by Rupali, and she has been one of our speakers before. She is a very experienced Montessori administrator from the tech schools in Massachusetts. And she's here to talk about school expansion and relocation. This is very much a collaborative space, so please feel free to unmute, put any of your things in the chat, any thoughts, questions, or comments. We'll keep an eye on that. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Rupali.
Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. It is a pleasure to come back to this platform and discuss school expansion. I think, for all of us over here, we started with the vision of Maria Montessori and are in the field of bringing Maria Montessori's vision to many people around the world, many children around the world, and make an impact. But when we start about our own schools and where we come from, it's our vision. It's the founder's vision. And so, what is that vision, and how do you give wings to that vision so that it will, take off and make an impact on others? So, what I'd like to ask everybody is, what is your idea of growth? You can put it in chat, or you can unmute and share your thoughts about growth. When you think about growth, what words come to your mind? Because when we talk about school expansion is nothing but growth. So thank you, David. It's additional space. If you would like to unmute and talk about what growth means to you. Expanding programs, building size, enrollment also. Increasing budget, increasing programs. Thank you. Wonderful. Great. Let me share my screen. A pipeline of qualified staff with interested prospective families. When more and more students are staying for the next level, these are all signs of growth. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Let's see. Going to share my screen here. Just one second. Cool. Can everyone see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh. One more second. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay. I tried to be in the presentation mode before. It wouldn't allow me to share in that mode. Okay. All right. So to me, what growth means is we're taking our ideas and we are implementing that idea so that more and more people will benefit from that idea. And as many of you mentioned, our common goal is to increase our programs, increase our locations, increase our enrollment, our make budget available for people. But what we need um, for growth is a system. And Maria Montessori, we all understand the growth of a child. What Maria Montessori did in her um, program, in her methodology, was to create a system so that teachers and parents, educators around the world could take her method and implement it. She did that through training teachers herself. Now we have so many more training centers, and it fosters the growth of every individual child. What we have to think about is, okay, how can we take a system and make it um, into our business that would allow for growth? So I'd like to ask everyone here, Montessori is unique to each school. Your vision of Montessori, or your idea, or your flavor of Montessori, what is it for you? Every school is different. We have farm Montessori schools, we have language immersion programs. There are many different types of Montessori schools. Again, just unmute yourself and share what is your flavor. What kind of a Montessori school do you have?
We are an AMI Montessori school starting at ages 20 months going through grade 6 right now.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
We're an AMS Montessori school in Ann Arbor, Michigan, serving students 18 months through 6th grade.
Nice. Thank you. Any other schools?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We're an IMC school for 6 months through 9 years.
Thank you.
Rupali, what was exactly your question in terms of the range of children we serve, or what?
Yeah, like what kind of a Montessori school are you? There are so many different types, right? So if you're there, we have a Montessori school in our area, which is a farm-based Montessori school. There are some schools. This morning I was talking to a lady who wants to start a Jewish, religion-focused school. There are some Christian Montessori schools in our area. Ours is a STEAM-based Montessori school. So does your school have any particular focus?
Not particularly. We have basically, again, like the other gentleman said, we also focus from 18 months to 6 years, but we are essentially, we're not focused from any specific ideology. We try to, an AMI school focusing on traditional AMI education, inculcating independence and the growth of the whole child. That's what we focus on.
Yeah.
But other than that, we don't have any other affiliation per se.
Okay, and that's fine. Like that's what that is your flavor. And when we are true to our vision, true to our flavor, then that's what is going to help parents understand who we are, and that we are not just any other school. So when we start a business, there are two elements to it. One is the idea that everybody understands that idea, that there's clarity of vision. People, all your key stakeholders, whether it's your parents, your teachers, your mentors, whoever, your advisors, everybody understands that uniqueness about your school, which is different from what your competitors are offering. How clear is that vision to all of your core group is important, and how you convey that vision to everybody from day one. If that vision is clear, that clarity is going to help establish your school. The second part is the execution now of this vision. I always think of the idea as a seed. It's the seed that's going to grow over the years into a tree that's going to blossom and flourish, right? And for you to take your school through those stages of development, you really have to have a plan for execution. So it's only people in your team who are going to be able to take your vision, take that idea, and give it a form and deliver that service to your students and your customers. When I say customers, your parents. And you'll notice that I'm going back and forth between saying school and business, because at the end of the day, your school is a business and you have to run it as a business. So who are these people? Who are the key people who are going to be able to take your vision, to follow what you are going to say, and take it to the next level? So there are three things that your growth requires. One is the people that are key to you, right? I'm sorry, there are two things. One is the people, the money, and the third part is the marketing. So for money, what are the different ways you're going to raise your funds? Are you going to be bootstrapped? Are you going to get grants from various sources? Is it through, raising money through capital campaigns? Are you going to look for investors? Are you going to acquire other schools? This is the time when you're making choices. And I think every choice that you make will lead to a path of growth. Our school, we decided to be a bootstrapped school. So we started very small. And as we grew, we made our school sustainable. Along the way, we also found that there were grants available for schools that were local grants from the local public school areas. So you can look at, what are the grants available for your school in your area? Can you talk to your local public school authorities, because there are grants for special needs. There are grants for preschool age children. You can get vouchers. What are the different ways that you can access money to make your vision a reality? The second part is your people. Unless those people can deliver what you say you want to give, you're not going to build your enrollment. At the end of the day, it's the quality, and quality of what the parent leaves the child at your school in the morning, picks them up in the evening. They are at your school for a third of the day. And that's a long time. So they want to make sure that the child is in the best hands. So how are your teachers being trained? How are your administrators being trained to make sure that everybody is working as one whole school? Who is spreading the message? You need evangelists to take the word out from your school into the community. Are you nurturing those people? So it's not just your teachers, not just your staff members, but also the families in your community that you have to work with. What is your network? Who are you networking with as a business leader in your community? Are there networking groups in your local area that you can go to and talk about your school? So that's another thought. Okay, so every school has different stages of growth. Now, these are the stages that personally I found to be most appropriate for our school. This is the path that our school has been taking. We started with an idea that children now are growing in an age with digital tools around them. And it's really important for them to understand how technology works. We called our school Think, Explore, Create. The idea being that throughout history, humans have used their ability to think, they've used their ability to explore the tools around them, the environment around them, and create the world that we live in. If our students understand how to think, they can use the environment around them to make a world, make articrafts that would help them become independent, then they are going to have a bright future. So that's our vision. And to make that a reality, we said, okay, we really need to have an integrated program for STEAM and Montessori so that they're not compartmentalizing STEAM and Montessori, right? They're not doing their bead frame in the classroom and then going to the computer, but they are integrating the data that they're collecting, they're using the hands-on materials, but they're also using the tools. So flushing out your ideas, making sure that you have your vision board, you're working with your mentors or your advisors or your board of directors, that core team who's looking at the big picture. Once that is established, you put a stake in the ground. You say, okay, here we exist. You find a location. In our case, we started in the basement of a church, and we went around to look at different, locations, whether it was in a mall or a standalone building. There were schools that had closed and the space was available. But then at that time, we didn't really have a lot of funds. So we were looking at a place that would be affordable for us and was also appealing to people in the neighborhood. So we found, we also wanted to be a city school so that children could use the city as a classroom. So we wanted to be in a location where children could go out and about freely. Our school, because it was located in a church, and the church had their own preschool, we couldn't start a children's house or a primary program there. So we started with kindergarten, elementary program. And we put a board out there. And now we wanted parents to come and see the school and enroll in our school. So that is just an existential moment, right? Are people willing to believe in your idea? Are people willing to take a chance on you? Those are the first founding families that we had, and the founding team, the teachers who believed in that passion or in that vision. At the beginning, funds are very low, and you have to make innovative ways to attract people to your community to believe in what you are going to do. So just those early adopters, whether they are teachers, administrators, advisors, or parents, those people are very important in that initial stage. Those are also the people who are probably going to be staying with you for a long, long term because they were there at the beginning. They believed in you. This is also a time of a lot of work. It seems a very nice, it feels very rosy. We have an idea, but the work that goes on in those first few years is extremely crucial. And everybody has to be willing to have all hands on deck. The third...
Rupali, just one quick question for you.
Yeah.
In the initial stages, how did you go about identifying the set of staff that really shares your vision and values? I mean, how difficult was that, and how did you go about it?
So I had been in the teaching profession for over 15 years by then when I started my own school. And I had developed a network of teachers that, who believed in what the method that I was looking for establishing. And I reached out to those people. Now, what I found was it wasn't, all Montessori teachers, trained teachers, did not necessarily understand the STEAM integrated program. And so I had to look outside the Montessori field to see who else believes in this mission. And so I found our music director was not a Montessori trained person, but had the idea and uh, understood Montessori. So I reached out to him and he was willing to take his Montessori training. Similarly, our administrator was not a Montessori, did not come from a Montessori background, but she came from the STEM background. So she and I had worked together on organizing STEM competitions in our area. And so she understood the vision, but she was not Montessori trained. But because she was open-minded, I was able to help her, get a few Montessori overview classes so that she could understand what Montessori was. Our core teaching staff came from the Montessori background. They were trained elementary teachers. And we worked with the local engineering school. They have a K through 12 STEM training program for teachers. And we worked with the local college to implement the STEM program and teach our teachers. So there was a lot of professional development that happened to make sure all of us were on the same page. Does that answer your question, Wally?
Yes, that is quite an undertaking, but yes, it does answer.
Yeah. You also have to understand your market, right? In this case, that, is there a need for a school like this? What are the other Montessori schools around you, or what are the other private schools around you? What are the public schools doing? We also have a very good group of homeschoolers. So we partnered with the homeschoolers to bring in, if you say expand in which way? So we also invited a lot of homeschoolers to come with us, and we created a program where homeschoolers could come for a portion of the day to work with our students. And that's how we grew our enrollment. The next stage is to survive. And, if you make it through the existential stage and get to the survival stage, yay, kudos to you. Because it's not easy. The first few years, you have to be driven. Everybody on the team has to be driven and be willing to roll up their sleeves and do what they need to do. So in the survival stage, it's really important to make sure that your finances and your programs are sustainable, that the programs that you're running are paying for themselves. Some programs will pay for themselves, while other programs will have overheads that you just don't have enough enrollment for them. So what are the creative ways you can build your finances or get money for that? And I'll give you a few examples. We really needed to make sure that our teachers are trained. We were, during COVID and just after COVID, we were finding it very difficult to find trained teachers. And perhaps all of you can share your struggles or your successes during that time and how you found teachers. But we had a particularly difficult time. And what we did, we also found that not too many people were willing to go to a training center to get trained. And so what we instituted were mentors and teacher coaches and parent coaches. So we partnered with experienced Montessorians who would work with our teachers on a weekly basis. They would come once a month on site to spend a day with the teachers to help them anchor their program, to go over the classroom setup, any questions that the teachers came across as they were setting up their classrooms. So every teacher had at least a teacher who was trained or was in training. And then they had this mentor or a coach who supported them. And the parents saw that, in our early years, we did not compromise on the quality of the work that the teachers were doing in the classroom. And that helped us really develop a reputation in the community to say, yes, our child is getting good education. Parents have written many testimonials about how their child was transformed, where children came from experiences that were not very beneficial to their learning to now thriving at our school. And they did that through projects. We established a rigorous academic program for all children, and we helped each child get to that program. So that really helped us survive and say, okay, we've survived. But, we were in the basement of a church. Very soon, I would say 7 years later, we found ourselves to be constricted by that space. And we had to kind of look out and say, okay, where are we going? It was also the time when COVID hit and everybody went online. We could see that happening. We also found that when we went online, that there was a demand for, geographical location wasn't a constraint anymore. We didn't have to just impart education to children in our community. We could actually access students across the world, and we could access teachers across the world. So we partnered with a school in Australia. We hired teachers in India. We had students from different parts of the US, in Asia, in Canada. We have students in Singapore. And then we also found that we could offer more programs in terms of personal development, managing executive functioning skills, organizing time. We took portions of our Montessori curriculum, like the passion project or capstone project for our upper elementary and middle school students. And we were able to build those with children in India and have a cohort of students from the US as well as in India working together. So, we just added programs that felt like, okay, we are not just within one space, but also an international school. We started adding programs for families where we offered positive discipline courses, cooking courses, things that families could do together online. We wanted to make sure that during COVID, we didn't lose the community that we had. We have a very tight community of families, and we would meet in the evening with the families to say, online, to say, okay, what can we do together? Maybe it was just a play date for children, or for families to express what they were going through. So you can take, a challenge and make it into an opportunity to build your community. So that's another way we expanded. And then when last year we found that our physical space was becoming a constraint for our growth, we started looking further out and found a new location not too far away from from where we were, so that it wouldn't be a problem for the parents to drive. And we were able to move into a space that's 3 times larger than what we had started with. And so now we are at a point where we can grow our enrollment, grow our programs, grow our partnerships with the community. And the final stage is, really long term, where we want to get there. We are not there yet. And that's the thriving stage of an organization. That's where the school exists beyond the life of the founder, beyond us. And the groundwork that we do now is going to help our schools get to that longevity stage. So what are the systems? What are the protocols? What are the procedures that would have to be established to think for long term? So I would say, if we just pause here, and if you would like to identify where you are in this cycle of growth, where is your school? Where is your idea in the cycle? Are you a startup? Are you still in the first stage? Are you in the surviving stage? Are you in the thriving stage? You've been there for 50 years, 60 years. Where is your school in this?
Rupali, let me start with saying that we've been in existence for 20 years.
Wow.
And
good.
I would say that we'll call ourselves like in a thriving stage where I think everything is going well. But we are a thriving stage from the point of view of a very traditional Montessori school. We are AMI accredited and very much, and so are the teachers. I mean, they're very much embedded in the holistic Montessori. This now, the challenge that we have in terms of thriving and extending our vision, like you are having, like combining STEM and some other things in the process. That to us is a very very challenging thing because we have set an inertia with our staff members and all that, which for them to try to buy into a slightly different vision is going to be very hard. And I'm not sure exactly, given if you have been in operating a certain way for all these years, and if you want to thrive and adding different dimensions, is where I think the challenge becomes for us.
Yes, thank you, Vali, for sharing that. I'll address your points, and then we can see if anybody else would like to share their stage. So first, congratulations on being around for 20 years. That is remarkable. I would say, as we grow, I mean, I feel the nature of life is to grow, right? Whether it's a seed, a child, an animal, when they stop growing, they start dying. That's true even with organizations. At every stage, you have to, as a leader, you have to say, what's next? What is the next thing? Where is my growth potential? And you have to try different things. Having said that, change is hard. When we are used to a certain way of doing things, it is difficult. Now, the great thing is you have a group of people who believe in the holistic Montessori philosophy and have been working with you and have established the school with you. For change to happen, you have to take baby steps and understand where they're coming from. So training your staff. What we did with STEM was every week in our staff meeting, we would do one STEM activity with the teachers. And it just made them feel comfortable because it took away the fear of, can I do this? Am I qualified? What is this? Is it even Montessori, right? How does it align with Montessori? So in our weekly staff meetings, we do an education moment, and it's about 5 to 10 minutes, and everybody gets to either teach the whole staff something new, or it's a group activity that we do together. Whether it's reading articles, doing activities that relate directly to the classroom, that's one way of integrating change in your system. You can also bring people, sometimes you don't need your teachers to do everything. That's what we've done too, is we have our Montessori teachers doing the Montessori work. They really know it well. We have a technology teacher who is not Montessori trained, but is very rock solid in running the technical machines. And by giving him an overview of Montessori and training him, we are able to bring both technology as well as Montessori without really having somebody to go above and beyond what they can do. And I think with these three things, small steps, training your staff, and bringing people from the community. Sometimes we even bring community partners. There are so many technology companies who want to pilot a program. You can bring those people in and have them pilot it at your school. We had a group of young entrepreneurs in our local engineering college who wanted to come up with an idea for origami and robotics together, and they were looking for a test site. And we became the test site. They worked with our students for a year and a half and developed a product to sell to parents and children. But it all started at our school. So our teachers didn't have to teach. They were teaching origami anyways in the classroom. And these young men came and taught robotics. And together we were able to create something new that impacted many people around, the world, created jobs in different countries too for this product to be launched. So you can do you can bring different people to your school, Vali. I don't know if I answered your question completely. Let me know what you think.
No, I think I understand. I think that's a good idea to have another teacher who focuses on technology and use this person to be able to maybe introduce certain things that may not be introduced otherwise. But the question I have to you is, do you see in your case, like when you're trying to combine technology with the traditional Montessori philosophy, do you see a contradiction there or not? Because at least in the primary level, I mean, Montessori, the way they're trained is that technology is really not looked favorably at all, at least at the primary level.
Yeah.
So did you find anything, any tensions and any contradictions and all that as you were moving forward?
Oh yes, absolutely. It was we are so focused on the hands-on aspect of teaching, and screens, when children are just using screens, it's detrimental to their development, especially at the age group of that primary level. So how do you use technology? I think understanding that technology is not always digital. It's not always screens. Cooking is technology. Sewing is technology. Weaving is technology. Sculpting is technology. All of these aspects are technical things. So for example, at the primary level, we read a book called Corduroy. Corduroy lost his button. All right. Now we have to make a button for Corduroy. What kind of buttons can we make? What kind of materials might we use? And children will create buttons. They can make buttons out of different things. You just make the materials available on the shelf. And you're teaching them how to take a problem, how to solve a problem, and how to find a solution. So and then you can have a conversation in the whole circle. How did you solve the problem for Corduroy's buttons? Similarly, there are many different ways you can bring in technology. We do First Lego League with our students. They have a program for 4-year, 5-year-old students called the Discovery Program. They'll send you all the materials, and it's a building. It's Lego building. So they're not really using any screens. They're not using any technology, but they're developing the problem-solving engineering mindset. So those are different ways you can build. And yes, we did have a lot of pushback from Montessori teachers, and even me. I did not want technology to be in the hands of 3, 4, 5-year-olds where they're just sitting on a screen. So we don't have any screens in children's house. But lower elementary, the idea is that technology is a tool, and they use it only as a tool. So in the classroom, they're not on computers, they're not on devices, but they do use devices to create something. They learn how to animate, they learn how to program, and they learn how to build robots that can solve. We have a laser cutter that children can design something and make a part of their science experiment or their STEAM experiment or their capstone research product. So you can build that into your curriculum. Any other thoughts? Where are you in your in your journey as a school, which stage are you at?
Rupali, we have lots in the chat here.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't see the chat just because of the way the Zoom is. Could you read, Elizabeth, what's in the chat?
Yes, so we have Jen who said we're hovering between sustain and thrive after expanding to elementary about 10 years ago.
Great, congratulations.
And then we have Elliot who says we are we're at the sustain stage and looking to expand. We're looking for input with respect to increasing the size and the design of our new physical space. Any relevant funding ideas and methods would be helpful too.
Yep. Okay, thank you. And Emily.
Our school, I'm the founder and head of School of Hands-On Montessori in Massachusetts and have the pleasure of working with Rupali through MSM. But I actually have the nerve-wracking and also exciting proposition of closing on a loan for a brand new main campus building on 13 acres of property that abuts 40 acres of conservation land with a river on one side and a vernal pool on the other. I have been in where I sit right now in this professional building for a long time, much longer than I had planned. And because we are all building, we say it's me, I am building only just under 4 miles away. My community can wrap their head around it. And I already have the elementary program over there, actually. The one thing for me, Rupali, and maybe we can talk either on or offline about this after, is how at some point to move everything that's here in this current space over to there, and that and have it be this really smooth transition. I know it will require a lot of community support from within and that kind of thing. But that's something that I sort of lose sleep over. That and the size of the loan that I'm going to take out. And the other thing is, and I don't know how many of you are like this, but it was recommended to me very strongly by a lot of other founders and heads of school before I started this school, to be very, very careful about going the 501c3 and board route initially, because I know a lot of founders that no longer have their schools. So I am organized as a corporation and not as a nonprofit or a 501c3, which significantly and severely limits opportunities for things like tax incentivized fundraising and that kind of thing. So I don't know if there's anyone out there in a similar situation that has thoughts and ideas or experience in terms of access to funding outside of just the cost of enrollment and being really careful with your pennies. So, but I did build one building already. I'm working on another and super excited. But those are my two big sort of things that I ruminate on.
Yeah.
If I may, I'm sorry, my name is Renee, and just to piggyback off of that, Emily, I'm in a similar situation, and I'm based out of the Bay Area, and we're getting to the point where it's feeling untenable to rely just on tuition to be able to actually run the school. It's hard to be able to give teachers a salary that allows them to actually live here in the Bay Area. And even the parents who are paying, you can tell that they're also feeling a lot of financial pressure. And so we're also trying to figure out other sources of income when fundraising and grant applications is not really an avenue that will result in funding. So yeah, I'm similar situation, Emily.
Great. Elizabeth, is there anything else in chat before I address these points?
There's Sherry. She said they are celebrating their 40th a couple of years ago. They had a growth period about 12 years ago that stretched things too thin, making the finances really tight, but several years of hard work turned that around and the school is now expanding. And with this, I think we're entering a thriving stage. And then David also said we're in the thrive stage and looking to expand up to 7th and 8th grade, given requests from families. We're exploring the possible creation of an urban school for this program, and would love to hear about other programs that have done something similar.
Great, thank you. So these are great points. So Jen, congratulations. Sherry, congratulations to you too. 40 years is great. I want to say, increasing size, to Elliot's point about increasing size and funding methods, I think that's coming up as a common theme for everyone. Sherry, please share any thoughts you have about how you raise funds. Some things that we have found is sometimes, you can partner with businesses who will fund some of your programs, especially for a STEM program. We found technology companies are eager to fund, but you have to network. You have to go out there in the community. You have to talk about your school. You have to find those businesses. And sometimes these are startups because they are looking to pilot their programs. And I'll give you an example. We had a gentleman who came yesterday because they do smart boards and they want a school to pilot their program, their smart boards. They want some feedback and data. We can do that. We can give them that feedback. It's a win-win for both organizations. Emily, just like yours, we are a for-profit. We were advised not to go non-profit route. And so we've been for-profit. But we also are considering a not-for-profit arm for the school, like the Friends of TEC School, which can access the grants that are available. So you can have a bit of both. There are banks, local banks, you have to talk to them. Many banks have a STEM initiative, or they'll have like some form of a fund that is available for schools. And you can always talk to your local bank, talk to your bank. What you've been doing business with them. What can they offer for your school? Even if it is like $2,000 to $5,000, it funds a portion of your school. And then Emily, for moving, we actually put together a document so that the moving part is really challenging because there is so much to pack in a Montessori classroom. You need all the help. You start talking about it before it's actually going to happen. Getting all the boxes, talk to families. We have a family who runs a liquor store. So they said, oh, we have boxes. So every morning during drop-off, they dropped off boxes for us. Again, we work on a very frugal budget. It's like wherever you can save corners, yes, you can. And, eventually those boxes are going to be broken down and again recycled. So use whatever talent you have in your community. We also had a team of parents. So we had take down like packing days, and the school provided pizza and some refreshments. But parents and children, grandparents came to help the teachers pack the classrooms. The easier places were like the library or the kitchen or, common spaces that they didn't have to know what the details were of which material should go with what. The teachers started, we created a schedule where every week we would dedicate time to pack things that were in storage that were not in the classroom shelves. When we moved, we had a list for all our teachers and administrators and the new location, the building managers in the old and the new location. For everyone had a set of instructions about what was going to go where, how it was labeled. Having said that, it was still very hectic and chaotic. It really was a lot. It is not easy. Let me just say that it's not easy. But it's if you have a group of people, then you don't have to do it alone. And that is important. Also give yourself time. It took us 2 months to move 2 miles. And we moved everything on one day, but setting it up, cleaning the new space, making it ours, painting it, hanging things, taking off things that we didn't that didn't go with our school's vision. We had to take all of that down. And so that give yourself time. It's okay to not have everything in place on the first day, but you build little by little and it grows into a beautiful space. I can share with anyone that list of moving and who needs to do what. It's something that I did put together, and Emily, I'll be happy to share that with you. Any other thoughts? Sherry, do you have any thoughts about where your school got finances?
I come at this from the board level. I missed the beginning, I'm sorry. So I don't know if everyone's at the administration level or head of school or what, but so I was on the board for 7 years for a Montessori school in Virginia. We have 250 students from toddler up through 8th grade. And like she said, I put in the chat that about 12 years ago, we had a big growth push. And it was right before the housing crisis in 2008, 2009. So it was a really bad timing. Of course, none of us knew that was going to happen. And we had to build back from that. And a couple of different ways that we did that was we rented some of one part of a building that we owned, or we had a mortgage for, that we didn't need for a classroom at that time. We rented to another company that used it for a music school. So that was one thing. And that helped pay for that mortgage on that land. Our summer school program happens to be a really good moneymaker for the school. It's bursting at the seams. There's always extra people trying to get into it. And it doesn't just our school of kids, it's the wider community that send their kids to our summer program. We call it seed school, seed camp. And that's a huge profit for us, which helps feed other things. And then we've had some luck, both from the board and from some particular teachers who were able to find grants that funded certain projects. Like we built a big garden and fenced it off so that it wouldn't be eaten. And that was all funded by a grant that we were able to find. So there are little things that we can find. And I found, I wasn't on the finance committee, but we had a group of people on the finance committee who were in business and thinking of all these kinds of things. They were very, very creative of constantly bringing up new ideas. So maybe that's another way, if you can get a good group in a finance committee to start coming up with a bunch of ideas, and then you can measure each one of them and keep the ones that are actually helping. But I'm sure there were probably other things that the finance committee tried before I was on the board that I don't know about, but I'm sure there was a bunch of things that they did. We also found that our toddler program is one of the most sought after programs. So we added another toddler classroom, and then that filled up, and we had the capacity even to add another. So if you watch at the individual levels, that can help. You can kind of add classrooms where it really makes sense. Once you started at that, then of course that meant we had more and more students climbing up the other age groups. And we also watched very carefully the areas where we would have attrition of students moving on to public schools or something like that. And there were little areas that happened more than we would like. So we worked at those areas. We tried to increase our holding of students instead of letting them sort of naturally slip away at that spot where they might go from, in our area, it was from kindergarten to 1st grade. And then again in 5th grade. There was a time when the other local private schools, or maybe they had a bigger sports program that was a big draw. And so we worked at those individual spots to kind of help keep the students at the school, and make sure that we had the things necessary for them to want to stay. And that, yeah, obviously took years, but about 4 or 5, it started making a real impact on our tuition. And once you all know that we've got that, everybody's got that spot where your tuition numbers makes the school really tight, where you get another 15 or 20 students and suddenly it's much better. So trying to keep us at that spot and always there or a little above helped.
Great, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
One of the things that we are doing, we have space more than we need right now, and we are renting it to a music group and to a STEM group, to another Spanish program. We also have extra classrooms where we are building drop-in days for parents to come and taste the flavor of Montessori. So just to build awareness, and hopefully that will bring in more enrollment. So thank you, Sherry, for sharing that. And so here is what do you do? I think the first thing is identify how you fit well in your community. What are the needs of your community? Tweak your programs to fit the needs of your community. Train your teachers, train your staff, your administrators, teachers, parents. They're all your ambassadors. If the program's not good, you may do whatever you want, but people will not come. And the third thing is marketing. We've been happy with Nido Marketing because we were able to build our website. We were able to, make our brand just visible with branding, with our signage. Networking, the power of networking is just immense. Go out in the community, talk about your school, showcase your school to grow your school. Our story, these 2 pictures capture the philosophy of our school. You see the child in, she's placing the last block, very Montessori, focused on her activity, laying the ground for something bigger to come. And the second picture shows, children can dream and imagine at a much higher level than they can read or write. And the role of the adult is to nurture that imagination, that creative impulse that children have in them. And these 2 paintings are by an artist, Brian Larson. And we have these in the lobby of our school when we show our school. So our growth path, we've not compromised on the quality of our school's service. We provide many options for parents, whether it's homeschooling or online or in person. We make our makerspace available to students outside our community so we can grow, but at heart, we are very frugal in our expenses. And that has helped us. We currently have 2 platforms, in person and online. Online, we are able to serve students in university level 2, which has been great because you don't restrict yourself to just one form of income. And now we have room to grow, to build our programs. So that's where we are. We're very excited. I feel, when we say expansion, immediately our thought is money and funding and space or growth of enrollment. But really, expansion is how you take your idea and make it available for a lot of people. How you bring people together, how you create that quality. So I'll just open up the forum for questions.
You've done a
I have
smart thing
one
by
question.
choosing the name of your school, called the tech schools, right? That by itself creates a curiosity in the mind of the parents.
Yes.
What is it all about? And I think so it doesn't say Tech Montessori School, it just says the tech school.
Right.
So that was a smart way to move forward with the name.
We spent a lot of time thinking about it. We wanted it to be think, explore, create, the idea that all humans can think and create a life that they want. And that's the mission of our school, is to prepare students for life. So, and with the element of technology in it. Thank you, Wali.
Rupali, Tracy is asking the name of the artist, if you wouldn't mind sharing their name.
It's Brian Larson. I'll type it in chat. And
Thank
you can actually find his paintings at the Quint Corder Art Gallery. You can look them up. They have two galleries, one in Napa Valley and one in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, I think. And they ship everywhere in the world.
David said, is Tech a nonprofit school?
So we are a LLC, and we work as a corporation. When we started the school, we actually checked with the lawyers and accountants and everybody, even the superintendents at our local town where we wanted to establish said, just go the for-profit way, you'll be faster and less red tape. So that's what we are. And we are really now considering having a not-for-profit arm to access some of the funds and to, for parents to be able to do more.
Rupali, can I share something real quick?
Sure.
For those of you out there like me that feared going the 501c3 route, I had an attorney sit me down and give me sort of the pros and the cons of both. And in the state of Massachusetts, we call it, there are significant drawbacks to being a 501c3. Part of it is that, and part of it is the oversight and control and the fact that you no longer own your business, your school, what have you. I found a really good attorney in Boston that I can connect anybody with. But what I did for my elementary program to enjoy the benefit of something that I don't know is unique to Massachusetts, but could be called the Dover Amendment. So it's zoning protection because the school is being built in a residential area. Because it was a standalone elementary program without the littles and being licensed by the Department of Early Education and Care without having the littles on site yet, I needed to get that Dover protection, and I needed to be a nonprofit. What I didn't know this was a thing, but I learned, was I established a nonprofit in Delaware, doing business in Massachusetts. So my bases are covered in being a nonprofit. It's not a charitable, it's a non-stock nonprofit organization, not a charitable organization. So the 501c3 limitations, oversight don't apply. And the restrictions placed on nonprofits in Delaware are less restricting, for lack of a better word. But it was really interesting. I learned a lot. I don't know all the legalese for it, but it doesn't change the way that we do business, but it does change, again, the limitations and the oversight that Mass would put on it, but affords me the zoning protection. So if anyone wants that information, I'm happy to share it. I don't know if other states allow similar things or not, but it worked in this case. So
thank you, Emily. Yeah. Any other questions or thoughts that you'd like to share?
There's one option that I think people have suggested is to, if you have a PTA in your school, let them become a nonprofit, and then they can funnel that money to your school. They're two separate organizations.
Yes. Yes, David.
Yeah, the whole idea about expansion, you talked about a lot of different aspects around it, money, space, people, but didn't touch base with a mission. It's something that we're looking to do to expand the school. And we had a consultant that drew up the potential to double the square size of our school. But the board is looking at what do we gain? What do the students gain through expansion, and looking at it through the lens of the mission of our schools. And yeah, you can say Montessori for everybody, but what is the mission of our school and our program in that expansion? So that's just an interesting twist that wasn't addressed in one that we're looking at as to be to be thoughtful in that expansion, in making sure that we're meeting our mission and it doesn't detract from our mission and the service of the students and the families that we currently serve.
Yeah, I think that being mission driven is very important, and thank you for bringing that up. I kind of combine that as, what is your flavor? What kind of a Montessori school are you? As you said, not all Montessori schools are the same. And so what makes your Montessori school unique? And you really stay true to that, so that you can grow only when you're true to what you say you are.
And on the financial side, it's, here in Ann Arbor, it's really been interesting. We have an early child care program, and Montessori typically starts early programs where programs are not charging what it costs, right? So you can only pay your teachers what you're charging in tuition. And again, depending on the mission, the philosophy, service of the students, you can only do that if you are compensating your teachers and retaining your teachers and training your teachers, and you need to pay them. And that has been an issue. I've had a lot of conversations with early child care programs here in Ann Arbor around that are paying $13, $14 an hour, and they're losing their employees to Panda Express or other places. They're paying $15, $17 an hour, right? And that's a whole different topic, but you do need to charge what it costs, and recognizing, again, from a business standpoint, what is the market capability? And if any of your schools are NAIS affiliates, they've got a really cool tool called Marketplace, which looks at the demographics within certain mile radiuses and zip code that you can put in your tuition, and it will tell you what percent of the families around you can afford your tuition. And I think sometimes it's surprising, actually, there are a lot of families that can't afford the tuition and higher tuition if you're charging it, which will help with everything within the school and retention.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Thanks, Jillian. If everyone can see in the chat, Jillian says they're developing a culture of philanthropy among their community. As a 501c3, our families with greater capacity are able to make charitable contributions to help offset expenses. Thanks. Yeah, I think, it's a joyful journey. Every day you get up and you say, here we go, and there's going to be a new problem every day, but you tackle it and you move forward. Show up every day and move forward. I think reach out to your community, reach out to people, and there's always a solution. Well, here's to growth, here's to your expansion and your school's prosperity.
Thank you so much, Rupali. That was such great information that was covered today. Thank you, everyone, for participating, asking questions. It was very informational. This will be posted on our YouTube channel, so feel free to take a look at that. I did keep hearing a theme of funding, so I'm going to talk to Camille, and I think we'll host a town hall about that coming up this school year, because that does seem to be a hot topic for a lot of you that attended today. So we'll do some research on that and present some information on that. So next week, Camille will be back. She'll be talking about streamlining your admissions pipeline. So please tune in for that. I also wanted to share a little bit about our free Montessori assistant training course. So we are hosting that. That's coming up here. I think next week it starts. So I'll go ahead and put the link to that in our chat here. Feel free to register for that. It is not like as good as AMI or AMS assistant trainings, but it is a training for your assistants to help them kind of understand Montessori. We also will be bringing back our parenting series in October. So I'll drop the link to that as well. That happens every Wednesday in the evening, and all of your parents are welcome to register for that and attend that as well. Hope you we'll see a couple of you at those community events that we have coming up. And thank you again, Rupali. It was wonderful. And everyone who joined, have a great rest of your Thursday.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Nice to see you, Rupali. Thank you. Are you going to put that in the chat before we log off, or are you going to email it? Because I'm really
I'm
interested.
going to put it in right now, and I will also email it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I have a new hire, and she is in Portugal right now, but she's an assistant. It would be a great way for her to start. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are both in there. So feel free. And then I'll also email them with Rupali's organizing guide there too.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a
Bye-bye.
wonderful